Hello to you, my lovely listener. It's me, Jason Paul, and it's as lovely as it ever is to have you here on the Soul Sync, the place for the curious. Now, today we are discussing sensitivity because probably anyone listening to this, you are a sensitive person, and this is where we belong. And I've got another one of my two-part specials where in the first part, we're going to be talking to Dr. Marcia Martin, and we're going to be discussing the very topic of sensitivity. Dr. Martin's story started very much as a deeply sensitive child who felt different. She felt misunderstood and often responsible for the emotions in the room. So we explore how sensitivity can really turn into people-pleasing when you don't understand your own energy. And I know that I've got a lot of people-pleasing tendencies in me, and especially so in my 20s. You know, I would be very much the people-pleaser, and even now I am. You know, I'm a very sensitive person. So we discussed that, and Marcia is also an expert in angels, so she's going to be talking to us about that. In the part 2, she's going to be leading us into a guided meditation to connect with angels through one's heart. And I think a big theme in this episode is the split between spiritual life and real life, and how Marcia learned that spirituality is meant to be practical, not separate. Now, I can relate to that. I have been on a good few mediumship courses recently, and it's made me really question, what do I get from them? I think a big part of it is I feel like I live a spiritual life, and I'm very present. I'm very in the moment. I feel very connected when I'm in those kind of environments. And then you throw me back into the absolute madness of my business and my day job, and coming back, even the Soul Sync, you know, the schedule's bloody crazy, my darling listener. You know, and then I quite quickly can fall out of the feeling spiritual, and it's got me asking the very question, what does it mean for oneself to be spiritualized? Letters on a postcard, please. And it's a question that I'm exploring a lot at the moment, because I know to be the best medium that I want to be, and to have the best connection, to be the best vessel for the spirit world, I need to be the best channel that I can possibly be. Even so that I've ordered a thesaurus recently, just because I want to expand my vocabulary, because I'm so rubbish at reading books. I seem to learn from life experience, the school, the road of hard knocks even, and by speaking to people. I do need to read more. I do need to read Soul Sync. But without further ado, this is my two-part special with Dr. Marcia Martin, the expert in angels. Enjoy. So, Dr. Marcia Martin, a big warm welcome onto the Soul Sync podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm very excited to have you on, I must say. So, when I was reading through your notes earlier on this afternoon, and I read through them before as well, I could tell we're going to have an interesting conversation today. Firstly, because, you know, a lot of what you're interested in, I'm interested in. So that's going to breed for a good conversation. So, first of all, obviously, you won't have heard my little intro, but you are a heart healer, a spiritual empowerment counsellor, a metaphysical minister, a best-selling author, a public speaker, a clairaudient angel communicator. There's a lot there. Tell us a bit about you. Let's go back in time.
Okay, so let's begin at the beginning, when I used to spend so much time playing in the woods, usually by myself, but talking with, I believed, just nothing, only to realize as I am an adult that I was really communicating with the nature and animal spirits that were there around me, and just having a blast. But at the same time, it was a life that was a little bit, very well, not a little bit, very much introverted, and very much feeling like I don't know where I fit or who I am supposed to be. And as an empathic being, that meant becoming a chameleon. I could read the room. So if I went into the room, I didn't have the emotional or intellectual capacity to understand that Jason may already be sad and I just happened to walk in. I would walk into the room and say, Jason is sad and I'm in the room. I must have caused his sadness. So it meant that I needed to withdraw, but also become an extreme people pleaser because I felt that I was always the problem. And so it was a tough little go there to figure out who I was supposed to be. And even though I had this beautiful source of communication, I didn't recognize it for what it was. So it was just something to talk to and play games with and
What were your,
companion.
because you described that you know, were a very sensitive child. You are obviously growing up, you know, thinking that you caused that and then becoming a people pleaser. What were your parents like? What was your, you know, were you catered for as a very sensitive child? How did your parents bring you up?
I don't think they understood. I think they were just as lost and confused as I was. We did not have good communication. We didn't understand each other. And there was just a separation. I just never felt that I was good enough or that I had done anything noteworthy or deserving of any kind of praise. And they were distant.
Okay, take us more through some of your story.
All righty. So childhood was people pleasing, bullying, hiding, escaping, trying to do anything where I could be away from my home, but I just ended up being in other situations where I was expected to be sort of the servant in the room because that became the role that I was most comfortable with. If I could serve you, then you may not find me deficient or criticize me, or you may allow me to stay around. Whereas otherwise, I'm not sure if you want me. I'm not sure if I have a place or if I've earned a place. So I spent a lot of time kind of running to places where I could give services or help out as a way to be accepted. But I remember in high school, I really, really, really loved anything that was part of that paranormal community. But I was too afraid to admit that to anyone. So secretly, I was reading Linda Goodman's Love Signs, and Kreskin had a magic kit out with ESP. And Uri Geller was bending spoons. And that was just so fascinating to me. But it was odd. Again, I was the weird one that wanted these kinds of things. And I was looking at astrology and trying to figure out what is going to be my way into this world. But then I went to college and I really wanted to be normal because, gosh, now you're sharing a room with other people. So I couldn't hide as well and pursue my little hobbies. So I just kind of shoved all that stuff away, got a teaching job, then ended up after a couple of years back full time for a master's program. And it was here that desire got reawakened. There was one class and one professor that was teaching consciousness, the evolution of consciousness. And so suddenly I had somebody that believed as I did. And this was a relatively conservative school. So here we go. I've got one older person, someone older than I am, that believes as I do, that says that there's more to the world that we can see. And I joined this meditation group and I started taking all of these classes and
What did you study? What was you studying at university?
at the university, educational developmental psychology with a specialty in abnormal psychology.
Oh,
Nothing
and it was a
about
professor
spirituality.
came in when you was doing that psychology degree who talked about expanded consciousness.
One professor in one class was different from my very straight-laced education about psychology.
Was he quite as, when he came into the university, did he seem a bit different? He's, different to maybe the mainstream view at the time. What was his?
Oh, yes. He stood out like a sore thumb.
Oh, I see. That makes
sense.
sense.
Yes, the hair is kind of crazy and he's older and
yes, wearing his velvet jacket, a wolf suede jacket coming in. I can imagine it now. What university did you go to then?
Boston College, which is a very conservative school.
Oh, so I know Boston very well because my uncle lives there. He went out there, and then when I used to be cabin crew for Virgin Atlantic many moons ago, I look back at those days so fondly. And Boston was always one destination that I used to really like going to. Actually, it was one of my favourites, mainly because there was a big Macy's. But that's a really bad reason for wanting to go to a city. That's not a good reason. But I was young, wanted to shop. Okay, so the professor starts opening up your eyes, and I'm guessing a few dots were connecting for you.
So many dots were connecting,
yes.
But I still was living this dual life. That was my fun life, but then I needed the practical life. I needed a life where I could pay my bills. So during my master's program, where I was working for the school, I could explore all of this. But when that program ended, then I was kind of like, well, now I need to get a real job. Back to reality. All this fun stuff I have to leave behind.
So, just to kind of bring the audience along on this story with us. So you qualified, you left university, time to get a proper job, time to, I need to start paying the bills. We can all relate to that. And you then went to become a doctor. Was that
No, teacher.
Teacher, okay.
A teacher, yeah. So go to teaching, and I'm thinking, gotta leave all that stuff behind. That's just fun and games. It has no practical application in the real world. And so the further I moved from that, the worse my life became. The more despondent, the more depressed, the more destroyed I felt inside, because I was cutting myself off from this source of life that I had finally opened to. And there was only one time in that period before I finally got so desperate that I was willing to crawl back and unpack this in a new way. There was one time when I was teaching and I was at a pretty low point, feeling very much like a failure, just I'll take any job kind of mentality. And they hired me to teach third graders. These are children who would be 8, to help them pass the end of grade test. And here in the States, an end of grade test is supposed to be a standardized test that's given to all children of a certain grade to ensure that the school is doing adequate teaching, to make sure that every child is getting a good quality education.
Is that where a child gets held back a year if they don't pass it?
Yes, it can be the test, or it can just be poor performance throughout the year.
I wondered how the American system worked.
not well as a teacher.
No, well, I guess it's federal, the federal setting the tests because there's so many people in America. How do you roll out an education system
You don't.
to that many states?
And what happens is then basically education becomes teaching to the test, which is not teaching a child how to learn. So I'm not a big fan of it, but hey, they got.
I agree with that. I don't think. But then I guess I don't agree with that because I'm not academic and I didn't have a great time at school because it was all about exams and that's just not how my brain works. Sit me in an exam room and I'm an ABC XYZ thinker. I can jump quickly, but give me something analytical. And my God, I went to a horrible school though, Marcia. Horrible school. It was like one of the worst schools ever. It was unsafe at times. So it was in London. I didn't go to a very nice school. It was an all boys school. It was very rough and horrible. And I just left school as soon as I could at 16. I was like, get me out.
Yeah.
I need to earn money. So yeah, that's interesting. So with the kind of, but what the point I was coming to, this is the problem now. We go down rabbit holes on this show. How else would you do it if it wasn't to sit tests? How else would you roll the system out? This is the problem with education.
Well, and that is the problem. But I want to show you how the angels solved the problem for these particular children, because it's so important to me that everyone understand that spirituality is exceedingly practical. I spent all of that time living two different lives. I had my spirituality and I had my reality. And because I was dividing them, I didn't get the benefit of spirituality in my reality, and I became horribly depressed. So I had these kids, and they have been identified as likely to fail their end of grade test in reading and math.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided the way that I was going to support these kids is make it easy for them to get it right. And that would sort of start the ball rolling and they would be really excited about learning. And so first day I'm there and we're in a little tiny space. First day I'm there, I'm teaching this math lesson that I think is so simple that my dog could get the answers right. And yet I teach the lessons, hand them out a worksheet to make sure everybody knew what I was teaching, and go to my desk. And gosh, 2 seconds go by and here comes a little guy up to my desk. But he doesn't look confident. His head is hanging down. He's got a little pencil stub in his hand. And I say, hey, how do you think you did? And he says, head down, I already know I failed. And my jaw dropped to the floor. And right then I said, okay, sorry, only one of us can be a failure in this room at a time. And I've already taken that space. I didn't say this to him, but my head, I was saying, oh no, I can't fail again. I can't let this child believe they're a failure. What can I do? That question opened me up to this guidance that I had shut down for all this time. And suddenly I'm recognizing, oh, he just needs to be supported toward a better ending. He doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't even know whether he knows the material. He hasn't tried. So my guidance says, start over. I get a big eraser, erase all of the work on his paper, which it was abysmal. I mean, he just made up stuff to put on the thing to be done. So I erase it all and look at him and say, I think we need to do this together. Come on, I want to show you. You were so close to getting all of this right, but let's do it together because I know you can do this. This little guy is like, yeah, okay, you're crazy. I can't do this. So we start doing these easy math problems together, and I'm coaching and poking and prodding until he gets the right answer again and again and again and again. Get to the last one. I'm thinking, okay, I've got to make sure he's got the concept. He's got to do this one on his own. So the guidance is continuing. They're saying, don't send him back to his seat without him recognizing how much he has achieved in this short period of time. So I get a big, colorful marker and I put C's on every answer for correct. Because usually here in the States, when you get it wrong, you get a red X on your thing. So I got a colorful marker and everything was correct. And he starts standing up a little taller. And I'm like, said, look at this. Look how smart you are. Look at all of these that you have gotten correct. He's like, He said, now you need to go back to your seat and do this one on your own. And I remember as he walked back, I had sworn off God and any kind of interaction. But I remember saying to God, please let him get this answer right. And then you won't have to ever do anything for me again. If you can just let him get the right answer, I will feel so much better. It will make my day. So
I was just going to say, so that was almost like the unlocking again of your, intuition, and it sounds like that was pivotal. I want to come up because there's so much I want to talk to you about on this episode today, because there's so much here in these show notes that I've got besides me. So how did you, on a whistle-stop tour, go from teacher to doctor? And then I want to come on to some of the specific things about the angel heart healing technique, because this sounds very interesting.
We'll be right back.
Hello, my darlings. I'm launching a brand new monthly newsletter. Think of it as SoulSync in your inbox once a month. Or we'll be like pen pals. I'll tell you what I'm up to in my mediumship, what I've been doing over the month. There'll be free meditation downloads, events. Sign up jasonpaulmedium.com down at the bottom of the homepage, and I'll see you there.
Okay, so my little guy came back, got his paper, got that answer correct. And so I put a huge 100 on his paper.
Mm-hmm.
And he says very loudly, I got 100? The whole rest of the room says, hey, he got 100?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and then they say, I want 100. And that opened them to that ability to open to guidance. That, unfortunately, though, I got to say, I opened them and closed myself. So I would allow myself to receive guidance for them, not recognizing what I was doing. But when it came to my own life, I still wanted this big divide. I still wanted, I need that paycheck. Don't bother me with this spiritual stuff. Let me stay in my reality. Ooh, these students aren't learning. Help. What can I do in order to help them understand? I had no conscious awareness of what I was doing. It was just automatic. Ooh, they need help? Okay, give me guidance. Oh, I need to pay a bill? Well, let me look at my paycheck and see whether it's enough. There was just this complete disconnect that continued until life was a disaster on every side. And then it wasn't until I was crawling over glass that I was ready to reopen and restudy, recommit. And that was another journey, long journey.
Now I want to ask you about that.
Well, that was a journey.
What was the glass? What was the glass?
Oh, just life had become so painful. There was no money left. Nothing was working. Everything was just frustration and confusion. And I would talk with the angels one minute and then shut them out the next. And I just felt so incapable of doing anything that was meaningful or could move myself forward. And it
It's
just
really
became,
interesting.
it was suddenly, just intolerable. And at that point, I was ready to do the hard work of recognizing, oh, I'm the common denominator. I'm the one that has been in all these situations. Maybe I need to do something different than what I've been doing.
So you was, again, people pleasing. You were listening to the angels for other people, but shutting them out for yourself.
Yes.
Which I guess is inherent to your childhood.
Well, I was the not good enough one, so I couldn't really receive guidance for me. But all these other people that were dependent on me making their lives better, I needed help for them. So I could accept it for them. But oh no, you don't deserve it. You're bad. God doesn't love you. You haven't earned it. You made a mistake 100 years ago. I had every excuse possible.
Isn't it funny that what happens in our childhood, it just shapes us for, our adult life? And do you know what? I was watching something. What was it I was watching the other day? Because this makes a valid point. Oh, it's a program on the Gaia Network. And it talks about, what is the series called? It's going to annoy me now because I want to mention what it is. I can't remember. I'll have to put it in the show notes afterwards. But it basically talks about children and how we get beliefs. And our beliefs control our actions, they control our thoughts, and our beliefs start getting learned in childhood, like getting to know what's right or wrong, the mask we have to put on to live by this set of standards and whatever. And those years do form your adult life. And I think it says a lot about people. If you've got a child, I guess well, I say that as someone without a child, but I guess what you're trying to do is instill in children, to come to their own decisions and follow their own feelings. But that's very hard in the world that we live in now.
It is. So the most important thing you can do for your child, regardless of who they are, where they are, what they may be doing, is let them know that they are going to be loved unconditionally for who they are.
I agree.
You can disagree with their actions. You can disagree with their choices, but we need to model the divine as opposed to a legal system or a belief system from any other organization. So the divine will say that they love and accept you unconditionally. This is how we must relate to our children. The divine will also say your behavior may open you up to specific consequences. They will not punish you. Your choices may bring to you unpleasant or unwanted experiences, but you, the being, will always be loved and accepted. If we can give our children the understanding that they are loved and accepted, they become free to explore. They become free to expand their awareness and make mistakes and grow. So they become stronger individuals who are more capable as they become adults and less frightened by everything life likes to share with you.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you were saying. So you have had, obviously, angels talking to you for some time. How does one know if it's an angel talking to them? Is there I'm trying to work out if I ever had an angel talk to me. Would I know?
I'm sure you have. Well, they are communicating with you in some way. That's the thing that's very important to remember is the energetic realm doesn't pick and choose. It is a blanket policy of acceptance. So everyone is getting messages, support, guidance, and whatever is needed. It is up to us to recognize how we can best communicate with this incredible support and use it for our benefit. So it could be hearing, but clairaudience is not generally a voice outside of your head. It will sound like your own voice. However, it will be loving, kind, uplifting, inspiring, motivating, and accurate. It will not be destructive, condemning, or critical.
Do you know what you make? I'm going to just interject on that point because I think you just said something quite interesting there. I think a lot of people, and I thought this for a while, is an angel communicating with me is a voice not my own, that I imagine is very godly and angelic, maybe, you know, harps in the background coming down on a sort of backing track. You know, that's what I would imagine. So I sort of thinking to myself, I haven't heard from an angel, but you say something which recently I've started becoming much more aware of is I've been looking at the mind like an enemy, you know, shut the mind down. I've got to shut the mind down, my own thoughts down. Can't have any of my own thoughts. Actually, that's how the spirit will communicate to us, is through our thoughts. But it's identifying the difference between your own thoughts and a lot of people aren't aware of that. You know, I've only just recently had to really start making the distinction between my thoughts and my own internal ego voice versus fresh kind of downloads, I think you described them as, and understanding that to trust that because that, you know, is from a higher source.
And it's very important that you don't trust blindly, but you trust knowingly. In other words, begin your communication, and let's explore also all of the ways they can communicate with you, because everyone has at least one active communication link. Nobody comes to this world and is cut off. But what we can do with that communication link is make it smaller. We come in, it's wide open. As the world gets more interesting and we become more aware, that link starts to get smaller so that we can have experiences and choose to open the link. If it just stayed open, it would be so much like being a puppet. Hey, turn right, so that you don't make a mistake or go in the wrong direction. We need the free will choice of making mistakes and going in the wrong direction, because that gives us a rich experience that we can use to explore and grow even further. So everybody has this wide open communication that begins to get smaller as we need to interact more with the world for our own growth and experience. But then we can choose to open it back up. So it can be hearing, it can be seeing. And by seeing, it is not, oh, I see this being that nobody else can see. It could be lights, it could be flashes, it could just be pointing you to a bulletin board, a billboard, a license plate, feathers, coins. It can be any kind of way in which they use your visual sense to make you aware of something that you need to know. It can also be knowing, just that sense of, I feel like I need to do this. You may not get any verbal communication. You may not see anything to support that. You just sense that you need to be in that particular place. One of those is going to be active in everyone. And as you begin opening up your dominant sense, all of the others will become more active because this channel is more active, and that means it's easier for you to communicate. So you'll have your one main source that you've chosen before birth, and then you'll have those other ones that become stronger and more comfortable for you to use as you get more
as you practice more.
Yes, practice is the perfect word.
Yeah, because I guess I think you make, and I really like the way you kind of described that there, because I think when we are born, straight away, we are connected. We are connected. Then what happens is, around, I guess, 7 years, 8 years old, we start disconnecting more and more and more because of the ego structure that starts developing, all of the, you must do this and whatever. But you make an interesting point that we are all connected via one way. But, if we choose to want to start really working with our intuition and like anything, if you're going to work out at the gym, you've got to work out your muscle. It's like you've got to practice. And I'm learning that, I'm trying to work out for myself, Marcia, to be quite frank with you about the best way to do it. Because I am bloody awful when it comes to meditation. I've got ADHD brain, and meditation and sitting quietly are probably two things that don't come naturally to me. So I've been trying to do that myself and feel more connected. But I feel like my problem is now when I do a reading for someone, because I'm trying to develop my mediumship. If I'm sitting here at home, I can listen because there's no expectation. Soon as expectation comes in, then I've got to do a reading and someone's sitting in front of me, ego structure starts saying, oh, yes, you need to get yeses. You need to make sure it's right. You need to try really hard. I'm sitting there trying to connect. Oh, come on, something come to me, please. It doesn't happen.
Because that is forcing you to close the door. The connection opens and stays open when you are relaxed and when you are trusting. So let's go back to that statement earlier. No blind trust. Trust because you know. So I would begin building your faith or your trust, whatever you want to call it, with silly little requests where you are working in conjunction with the spiritual world, but it doesn't matter whether or not you get the message clearly. So let's understand that they do not speak a particular language. The spiritual community, that these angelic helpers speak energy. So they are going to communicate with you through energy. You can translate it into visual, into words, into feelings, but you've got to be open in order to get and open and certain degree of trusting in order to not let the ego be the interpreter for you. So one of a easy and absolutely no value attached to it thing is if you're driving somewhere, getting the parking spot that you desire, or a parking spot in a place that may be difficult for you to find parking, or getting yourself to sync up with lights so that you can just keep driving through and you don't have to stop at any red lights, or something inconsequential like that. Once you get yourself in that rhythm of it is safe for me to expect good things, you can then go to bigger asks. The other way to do it is to be desperate, like I was sitting in that classroom. Please let this child get this right. I need them to win more than anything.
So what I would do then, right? So because I'm going to break this down to basics now, because why not? So I want to send out. I want to do this myself. I want to communicate with my spiritual ambassadors, shall we call them that?
I love that.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you do. I just thought of that on the spot.
That's them communicating with you.
It is.
That is them elevating your thoughts to giving them a name that no one will have an objection to. Spiritual ambassadors. That's brilliant and beautiful. And
Thank you, Marcia.
Quite the perfect way to identify them. They are the goodwill beings that will never lead you in a direction that is going to cause hurt or harm to yourself or another.
Yeah, I might. So I'm going to go back to me again. Where this is so I was sitting. So yesterday, I went to a circle because I'm trying to develop my mediumship, and I sometimes I do a really good reading, but my problem is expectation. I am terrible for it, sitting there expecting. So, and I'm sure a lot of people have this. I've been through the stages. Is it my thoughts or is it spirit people? I don't know which one it is. Stage. And now I want to be at the stage where I want to communicate with them. So you're saying I like the parking spot idea. I've tried that before, but I tried sending that out to the universe in a law of attraction way, which I guess is the same thing, maybe.
They're all the same. It's just different labels for the same energy. Just knowing what you focus on, where you're placing your attention, what is causing you to be interacting is what you're going to receive. So this is why we want to build that muscle of, I am expecting to receive guidance from my spiritual ambassadors. Mm-hmm. Why? Well, because it's always ongoing. And if I am open to it, then I will be able to receive it in whatever form is my way, my easiest way to receive information. It's not because I'm better than someone. It's not because I'm the chosen and they're not. It's because everyone is equal in the eyes of the divine. Everyone is receiving this information, but it is my free will choice to choose to take part in this guidance.
If I want to, because I've tried this before, Suzanne Geisman, who I've watched some of her stuff, and I do think she's very good. I do think she's a very, very, very good medium without question. She, on one of her YouTube videos, says you can play a game with your spirit team, i.e., okay, if that's from spirit, I need a sign, this is the sign. I've tried that. And it hasn't worked. But do you think because by asking for a sign, I'm not showing trust in them?
Well, let's expand that a little bit. That's a brilliant idea. And I absolutely work on confirmation all the time, especially when I have a really big decision. I will ask for confirmation. Here's what's happening for you, which is you are still there's a part of you, and I would ask Archangel Michael to come in and release you from this while you are being held in the unconditional love and acceptance of the heart space. But there is a part of you that is saying, I'm not worthy of receiving these answers. I'm not good enough to receive these answers.
Yeah, there is a bit. Because I look at other mediums and I've got in this stage, Marcia, where I keep looking at them thinking, well, I'm never going to be that good.
Right. They're so much better, blah, 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 blah. You don't recognize how beautiful your channel is. You're thinking of it as a skill rather than they're telling me, let it be a slide. Imagine that you are on like a slide at an amusement park, in a water park, and they're just sliding the information down to you. And all you have to do is be willing to go on the slide. It's not a skill. The skill part of what you are doing is being disciplined enough to be open to the information. The channel part that you are doing is being willing to go on the slide, to receive the information. So you said earlier, you don't really like sitting meditations.
It's not that I don't like it, but I just can't do it for long. I get fidgety. One thing that's helped recently, so I will do it. I'll close my eyes, but after 5 minutes, I'll open my eyes because I'll get distracted. But recently, you can laugh at this because I try all different things because I think there's so many different ways you can meditate. I'm trying to find the right method for me, Marcia. I'm trying to sit there with binaural beats on, and now I put total blackout eye mask on, because even if I open my eyes, all I've got is pitch black dark. So it's almost like it sends me a bit inward, because no matter if I'm closed or open, I'm in darkness.
Have you ever tried walking to binaural beats?
No, I haven't actually.
So they just keep saying, do a walking meditation.
I've never thought to use them walking.
You're making it too difficult. I'm
trying to be there, shut down, mind.
Exactly.
Breathe. Yes.
You keep butting up against this belief system, this limiting belief that you have. I'm not good enough. I never will be good enough. This can't be easy for me. It's got to be hard. I have to force. And they're saying, hey, we love you and we just want to communicate with you. Would you like to walk and look at the birds or listen to binaural beats and open your heart in that way? Why does it have to be sitting still? Why does it have to be difficult? You are worthy as you are. Find the easiest path of communication for you and explore that. The other paths will get easier as you relax and as you stay open. Just your desire to be an incredible medium says, you already have this natural attunement. I don't have a desire to be a good medium. That I'm not on that channel. I enjoy my angelic communication, but I very rarely step over into the mediumship side of it. It's just not my thing. I just love spending time with my angelic community.
It's funny because I just feel such a pull to want to be a medium and get on the platform and do readings.
Because that's a skill set that you have brought in with you. And now you just have to get on the slide and let that information come into you.
I need to bloody get on the slide, Marcia. I need to get on it immediately. And keep sliding.
You're already on it. Just give yourself permission for it to be easy.
I want to ask, right, so you mentioned Archangel Michael earlier on. How does one, from your opinion, try and work with an angel? Because I wouldn't even know where to begin. Do I call him up? Michael, where are you? I need you tonight. I need healing, Michael. How can I find him?
We always make it more difficult than it needs to be.
Yes.
These are angelic beings, are beings that are part of the divine. So they are filled with love and acceptance, and they just happen to have a specific skill set, just like you have this desire and this wiring that makes you really comfortable in desiring of mediumship. They have a particular expertise in a particular area. So all you need to do is say, angels, please help me. State whatever it is that you need help with, and then allow. Because I work with them, I know their names, I know their colors, I know who is specific to what particular thing. But you don't need that. They know what they are capable of doing. They don't have egos. They are more than happy to step in and do what you need as long as you are willing to receive. The only barrier to their assistance is you. And it has to be there because otherwise we would just be marionettes on a string. We have free will. So we get to say yes or no.
So interesting. I could talk to you about this for hours. I'm making notes. I'm sitting here making notes, Marcia, about some of this because it's so interesting. So if I want to work with an angel, then and I'm asking this on behalf of the listeners, obviously, of course, I would just say, right, okay, I'm going to sit now. And I would like to ask an archangel to come in this time and help me.
You know what I like to do? Because our connection
Yes.
point with the divine is in the energetic heart center, I always
Yes.
tell people, take a moment. Let's do it together. Let's ask for angelic assistance together. So we're
Oh,
just
yes, I
gonna
would love that. Right.
okay,
Let me sit
let's do
comfortably. Right. Okay. Right.
it. Just
I am.
remember, we're letting it be easy. So
My
we're
cat's
just gonna
just walked in the room. I think he wants some angel healing as well.
you
Look,
know
if you're
it.
going to stay, you need to be quiet, please, during this time of angel communications. Right. Sorry, Marcia, do go on.
So we're gonna close our eyes.
Mhm.
And let's begin by taking several deep clearing and healing breaths. Now, you can relax better when your body feels safe. And one of the ways to communicate to your body that you are safe is through the breath. So breathe in as deeply as you can and exhale completely. Just continue these deep breaths, deep, expanding breaths, and exhale. This signals to your body by all this oxygen rushing through the bloodstream, I am well. And a well body is more able to relax. So, one last deep breath. And now we place our attention on the energetic heart center that's located right in the middle of your chest. And as you do, just connect with all there that is. This is the source of unconditional love and acceptance. There is no judgment here. You cannot fail in this space. You are safe and loved. Let's imagine that you bring yourself just as you are into this space. Create a circle of white light using the energy of the heart. A beautiful sacred circle, and then just plop yourself right into the middle of that circle. You may even see yourself by using your third eye, but it doesn't matter whether you can see yourself. Just allow yourself to be there. And now imagine that that self says, I am ready. I am ready to receive guidance. I am ready to work with the angelic community, the spiritual ambassadors. I am ready for ease. And so I give permission to the angelic community, which are only beings of 100% pure white light. I give permission for these angelic beings to read my mind, communicate with me, provide guidance, insight, support, and whatever else I may need to live a life that feels good. Take another deep, clearing and cleansing breath. Feel the love that surrounds you. Allow yourself to be wrapped in its embrace. And now, know that you have opened a portal of communication that you can close at any time, that the angels mean and can deliver no hurt or harm to you or anyone else. So you can trust their guidance, but you will know it is them because it is kind, uplifting, guiding, supportive, wise, and never cruel or condemning. It is also not a booming voice. It is usually a very quiet voice or presence. You may close this line of communication at any time, but until you do, it will stay open for your benefit. Take another deep breath. Thank you for your love and support, angels. Thank you for being with us, for bringing to us loving guidance at all times, so that we can understand how to apply spirituality into our daily lives with practical tools and tips and a life that feels good. We thank you, angels, for all that you do, for the love that you share, and for guiding us in the direction of our highest good.
Marcia, I can't believe that we've just gone into a spontaneous angel meditation communication. It's just been the most action-packed hour. You know, we could... do you know what I'm going to do? I thought that was so beautiful. When I come to edit this, I'm going to take that little section and I'm going to put that out as a meditation in its own right, because I think that was really good. I felt amazing from it, to be quite honest. I'm going to do that later. I'm going to ask.
Know that now you have angel communication happening with you because you gave free consent. You may close it at any time, but be on the alert. Your job now is just to be aware. If you run around with your hands over your eyes and over your ears and you're cut off, they cannot communicate with you. Stay open, be alert, be aware.
I'm not going to be closing the line, I can assure you of that. I want the line open all the time, Marcia, at the moment.
Such a life of ease and joy when the line is open, because they can see what you cannot. They will give you that loving guidance and support that helps you make better and better decisions.
I think that's so beautiful. I'm so excited. You've ignited my passion for all things angelic. I'm going to ask you, lastly, and if you do want to find out about our lovely guest today, Dr. Marcia Martin, you can go to the show notes where obviously there'll be more information about Marcia. But do you know what, Marcia? Do you know the biggest problem about this episode? We haven't even come on to talk about the Heart Healing Foundation. I've just noticed. We've talked for a whole hour and we haven't even talked about that. You're the founder of the Heart Healing Foundation, and the Heart Healing Foundation is a heart-centered charitable organization that provides spiritual, educational, inspiration and counseling services and support to to survivors of abuse, trauma and violence. We might have to get you on to talk about this another time because, there's so much there. But if you want to find out more about your foundation, and everything you do there sounds amazing, and especially the fact that it's a charitable organisation, sounds great. But I'm going to ask you to leave us on a final thought today. Some guests say their final thought in just 10 seconds, short and sweet. Some like to have a whole monologue. I'm going to leave that totally down to you, Marcia, today to close your own episode. What would you like to say?
What you experience today with the angels interacting with you is exactly what we do in the foundation, because they have taught me that when you heal your heart with angelic support, you will transform your life. So we spend all of our time in the energetic heart center identifying the origin, the beginning of the place that got screwed up, clearing that, and then replacing it with divine truth. And that divine truth never changes. It is always unconditional love and acceptance. So we welcome anyone who is ready to recover from any pain of the past and is willing to work with angelic guidance.
Beautiful. Marcia, all that leaves me to say is thank you for coming on to the Soul Sync podcast.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I love to share the angels. They're my best friends.
Oh, they are her best friends, and I tell you what, Soulsing, I'd quite like them to become mine. I once felt, when sitting in my special meditation room, that I felt the presence of something like an angel. Literally, I felt this being just surround me with, like, love to the highest level that you can possibly imagine, and it made my heart like race. I can't even tell you. I don't know if that was an angel. I'd like to think it was, but I definitely want to start feeling more of those kind of presences around me, let me tell you that. So in the next episode, directly after this, Dr. Marcia Martin's going to be leading us into a guided meditation where we're going to be connecting to the angels through our hearts. As always, it's absolutely lovely to have you here. If you find this podcast helpful, please do take a second to leave a review because it helps other people find it. Until then, bye. Hello there, Soulsink, it's me. I interrupt this episode for just a moment to ask if you find this podcast at all helpful, please leave a review on the platform where you listen to them. It helps other people to find it and it means the world to me. Now enjoy your episode.